And I can tell you that's why it's like when a person's sending a message and they initiate this conversation, you can't blame them for not being for being a bad lead, because the lead that you're targeting or trying to target to begin with isn't clear to begin with.
When it comes to Facebook ad targeting, the question is, should you go super specific and really deep, or should you go completely broad? Hey, this is Peng Joon here, and today in this video, I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes to a recent call that I did to walk you through exactly how to think about targeting, especially when Facebook is constantly changing their targeting options. They've removed a bunch of targeting options when it comes to Facebook. You probably know this, when there were all these different targetings as what was once available, but now they're all gone poof. So what should you do? By the end of this video, you'll be able to see exactly what are some of the things you should be taking into account when it comes to taking your ad campaign from a pretty meh type of campaign and skyrocketing and turning it into a winner. Let's begin.
Carms, welcome back. Real quick, for the people that may not know or have heard of your previous hot seat, just a quick 30-second introduction of who you serve and the result you generate, and then we'll take it from there.
I serve coaches. I'm a neuro-linguistic programmer, trainer. So I help people gain their confidence, let go of their limiting belief, so they can do the thing they want to do, which most of the time is starting a new business.
Okay, perfect. And what do you feel you want to be able to work on that will help you get unstuck here today?
So I did the Facebook ad strategy. It hit a lot of accounts, but the lead was really poor. So it hit about 30-something thousand accounts, 2,000 engaged in it, and I got like 8 leads.
Okay, I'm looking at the numbers that you submitted here. It says here you spent $105. Okay, you got 8 leads, $13 cost per lead, only 2 qualified. Could you walk us through when you say only 2 qualified, what do you mean by that?
They pretty much didn't pass the first question I put, which was, are you committed to change your life in 2023 or making it your year? And it was like a button with yes or not yet. And everyone clicked not yet, other than like 2 people that actually finished the complete questions.
When you say 8 leads, was it 8 people that initiated a conversation? Is that what you mean by 8 leads?
Yeah, 8 people initiated the conversation, but only 2 of them actually finished all the questions.
And even when they finished it, they said no. Is that correct?
They finished it. They good. Like they would be part of the training that's coming up. But it's a free thing. It's a free 2-day training. Well, it's 3 days, the 3rd day being a VIP.
I see. Okay, so you're saying you spent $105, 8 people engaged in the conversation, 2 people actually signed up for the free event. Therefore, you spent $100 with 2 free signups. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So just to kind of like be aligned, I am going to kind of like standardize the terminologies here so that all of the different terminologies we use in future, it's going to be similar, okay? Let me just quickly share my screen. Let me take a look at the submission here, okay? So, just to be clear, we spent $105. When it comes to the amount of people reached and engaged in all these things, we don't even need to look at those numbers, okay? The amount of people reached, how many comments that you got, all those things are actually irrelevant. We just typically want to know, out of the amount that we spent, what was, in this case here, if it's free, what was the cost per lead? If it was a low ticket offer, what's the cost per sale, right? How much did it cost us to get a customer? That's the only number we need to look at. All of the other numbers here just causes more confusion, right? 38,000 people reached doesn't really say anything. 3,300 people engaged. Typically, when a person says engage, engagement is typically defined as a like, a comment, or a share. Okay, and I know that there's no way $105 ad spend would have resulted in 3,300 engaged. But it doesn't matter because we don't need to look at these numbers anyway. Okay, the ones that would matter is, well, how many people engage in the conversation. That's a nice to know, you know, but it doesn't really matter either. We just want to be able to know, out of spending $105, how many people registered to our event, right? What was our cost per lead? Now, depending on where these leads are, a $50 cost per lead may not necessarily be unusual, depending on the country. So for example, Australia and Singapore, it is possible, especially if it's in the financial market, to reach $50 and beyond. Okay, so first of all, a cost per lead at $13 is actually normal for an event, for a webinar, for a workshop, for a training. But the problem is that it's not $13, right? Because it's actually not 8 leads. A lead is only considered as a lead if you actually captured their name and email address, right? Or better yet, their name, email address, and their phone number. Okay. So what we want to be able to see is to take a look and see why can we actually improve the ad to decrease what was the true cost per lead. But as I continue reading over here, you said, I made a post to capture warm leads, which got 70 likes, which doesn't really matter, but 30 ready to sign up. Carms, do you mind elaborating on what you mean by ready to sign up?
Because they're telling me, where do I sign up? So I know these people want in, I just haven't given the page for them to sign up. They like my warm leads from book club and all of that. They kind of will always come to my event.
Let's take a look at the ad first, okay? And what are some of the things that we can improve when we relaunch this ad again? Okay, number one is that depending on your targeting, if the target is, you know, the typical coach, author, trainer type of thing, how do you tell if, like for example, a Lunar New Year challenge? I believe that what makes a great event or challenge is either a specific action. Guys, please write this down. It's either like an action or an outcome, right? It's like these are the different action steps that we're going to be making, or this is the specific outcome that's going to happen as a result of this challenge. So a Lunar New Year challenge may not necessarily resonate with a typical coach or author living in what was your main target country, Carms? Was it in Australia?
Yeah, Sydney, Melbourne, Canada, some parts of US, and a bit of Malaysia.
Okay, and now I can tell you that if you are targeting some parts of the US, there's a good part of the world that doesn't care about Lunar New Year, right? Like, I'm not kidding. I was telling Grant Cardone's team, and I told them, hey, did you know that right now the challenge that you guys are running is in the middle of Chinese New Year? You can't make this up. And you know what the reply is? What's the difference between Chinese New Year and New Year? No kidding. They'll be like,
you're right.
Right? I'm like,
people ask me what the red pocket is. They didn't know.
Yeah, and then it's like, yeah, exactly. Like, what are these red packets over here? Like, what does it mean? Okay, so we can't assume, right, that people who that we target, and by the way, how many of you here? No, maybe it's not a lot, but how many of you here honestly have no idea what these red packets here represent? No shame in that. Okay, just type in me in the chat if you are not from this part of the world and you have no idea what this represents. So sometimes we are so caught up in our own little bubble of how we see the world that we assume that people know what this thing is. So the first mistake about this ad is not that the ad is bad. It's just the message to market is just broken. Okay? So for this ad over here, changes that needs to be made is, so get clarity on how to focus on building the life that you want with Carms Fong at DTR Dreams to Reality. Now, if we want to be able to have a challenge or some sort of event, we got to be able to show them something more tangible than dream to reality, right? It's got to be bigger than just this manifestation of dream to reality. Dream to reality can be a thing that we're working on, sure, but it needs to go a little bit deeper. Like, what does it mean? Are we going to put some targets into place, and how we can break down these targets into a weekly action plan, a monthly action plan, right? Right now, this is a little bit too vague. It's trying, like this ad over here is, it feels like it's being super broad so you can target as many people as possible. And being a generalist and being broad, in most cases, it weakens us. Because it's broad, that's when people think, oh, I don't know if this is for me. However, if this speaks to somebody with that depth, which is coming from an angle of, like, let's say, are you somebody that's looking to launch your book, but somehow this dream was just part of your New Year's resolution year after year after year after year and was just somehow never done? Right? Now there's something tangible. It's like, oh, I get it now. It's like this thing. I want to be an author. I want to be able to write my book. It's always been a dream. It's always been a dream. But now I can see why there's this tangible step. So the thing that I would change over here, okay? 3 things. Number 1, I won't call it the Lunar New Year Challenge because they have no idea what it is. Same thing with the image. Number 2, dream to reality. I want to be able to have a lot more depth to it. So elaborate on what that means and how we're going to do it, okay? With some sort of storytelling, problem, hook, right? There must be an angle that stops the scroll. Some sort of insight that makes a person go, oh, I get it. That's interesting. I want to be a part of that. Okay. And number 3, making it a little bit more specific than being vague over here, right? Building the life that you want is broad, and that's okay if we can drill down into what it means. So for example, it's like Tony Robbins had a challenge, right? It's the unshakable challenge. It's like, what does it mean, right? Unshakable could be also building the life that you want. But there's that depth in the ad, in the messaging, that gets people to see, oh, I get it now, right? The recession's coming. And because of the recession can be the worst of times or the best of times. Therefore, and because there's more millionaires and billionaires made during times of recession and economic downturn, I want to be able to be part of that 1% that's able to know what to do during bad times to create the life that I want, right? So now, if I'm reading a copy like that, I can understand what it means to build the life that I want, right? But there must be some sort of insight or takeaway so that there is this aha moment that a person is getting from reading the ad. Karms, what are your thoughts based on this feedback on the ad so far?
Yeah, I totally want to redo an ad and see what happens. I think I end up getting a lot of mail clicking on it just because it was a red dress,
Okay.
which wasn't what I put.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the behind the scenes to this coaching call. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments below what your biggest takeaway is. And as always, be sure to smash the like button. It does help the channel out a little bit. And to subscribe to this channel if you want to be notified of future videos just like this one. Now, some of you asking me, how can I be part of this process? How can I ask you questions? How can I have you coach me or mentor me? We want to make sure that we are working with the people that's the right fit. You'll need to fill up a form. There's a link right below this video. Somebody on my team might give you a call to interview you to see if they're right fit for each other. And if you want to apply and see if you're a good fit, then all you need to do is click on this link in the description box below and my team will be in touch with you.